Folks, please stay with us for a quick conversation with the director of the film who can enlighten us on this process. Please welcome Ori Sivan.
Hi. I'm so happy to see so many people so early in the morning. But I just came a week ago from India, from the India International Film Festival with this film. The screening was at 8:40 in the morning. And it was packed, it was full with the Indian audience. But I really thank each and every one of you for coming and watching my film.
We'll test them. Next time we'll do it at 8:45. We'll see how many show up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for this really fantastic and thoughtful film. And I want to start digging in just a little bit, not too much, but knowing why did you want to make this film?
Okay, it's part of a project which intended to take stories from the book of Genesis and adopt them to our reality in Israel in those days, in our days. And this is the first film out of this project. We were a group of directors led by Udi Leon, who is from Keshet TV, and he was kind of teaching us ways of looking at the book of Genesis and letting us, each and every one of us, to choose the story from Genesis that interests him. So we kind of felt like a playground. We can take the book and it's full of really mythological, stories. And I found this story most interesting for me. You want to know why?
I want to know why.
I'm not sure why.
It seems to work on other people too, not just you. But
yeah, I think, a lot of things in this film. That's why I'm not so into Q&A, because I don't have the A's. You might have a lot of Q's, but I feel that I went with my intuition. A director has a lot of choices and decisions to make, and I felt that most of them were from my deep intuition, and I don't really have good answers. I think it's open to feel and to think what it wants to say, and maybe different people see different things. That's why I'm not sure why this story. I think raising children is something that interests me. I have 5 children, and
it's a daring story to take on. I mean, obviously, this book is a well-read book, and I think making an adaptation in general is something dangerous. Everybody has an opinion. This is one that I think there are 3 religions that have strong opinions about. And were you fearful at all that you're putting out this film, an Israeli film? The Orthodox will come and say that's not how it happened. The Arab community will come and say there's a completely different version of this. The secular community will say this never happened. I don't know. I mean, but obviously you were entering some tricky grounds here.
I agree, but I wanted to do it very delicately. It's political in its own way, and with a happy end, which you don't really find too much in Israeli films, maybe reacting to our reality. And I had someone the producer of the film, advising me to have like bombs exploding during the last episode, that last scene, like waking the audience up to the reality and say, why do we need bombs to explode during the film? Let's have a vision that gives a positive way of thinking forward. And when we go out of the cinema, we'll have the bombs.
It's actually that the ending is I think one of the most striking scenes to me, because it very much says what could so easily be and what could have been so easily also. I mean, just with a little bit of a different choice.
Okay.
The reactions in Israel, it won an award at the Jerusalem Film Festival, and how have been the reactions? And actually, I'm not interested only in Israel. Internationally, it's this film that manages to
the Indian audience. The Indian audience a week ago, they were really they were amazed. It's kind of stereotypes, but they were amazed to see an Israeli film without soldiers and guns. And it's not that it's so rare, but Israeli films are usually very realistic. And being Israeli, realistic is seeing soldiers in the streets, and today is the second.
Yep.
Yeah. So 2 days ago, I went with my third son to the Bakum. I don't know if you know this word, but in Israel, it's the place they recruit the soldiers. So, and it's my third son, and I have 4 boys, then the girl. So it's an Israeli experience that you don't really have in too many places. And I wanted to make a film that it's based on a mythological story, and it's about our reality, but taking it a little bit aside and not showing the Israeli regular experience.
Before we open it to questions from the audience, I have 2 technical questions. The first one is locations, shooting in locations. It looks like you had amazing access to Jerusalem. You were just able to shoot everywhere. Is that? Did you shoot in the Jerusalem Theater, in the YMCA?
Jerusalem Theater is really a unique architectural building structure, and they were happy to allow me to find all those places, and that's the main location. Even though the lower part, the lower places, the underground, that's taken from Eichal HaTarbut in Tel Aviv. That's taken from the idea that that's the place that the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra musicians they have this the downstairs cellars of the Eichal HaTarbut in Tel Aviv, but they changed it now. It was beautiful, and they made it, they renewed it. So I went to a place in Tel Aviv, Dizengoff Center. So and the cellars of Dizengoff Center is the place that they kind of practice. But IMCA, the YMCA, that's the real location, and the piano, the bell piano over there, that's real. And when he played the Swan Lake, the Ishmael Ben, it was really heard all over Jerusalem. And that's the real recording of it.
And you also mentioned that you mentioned last night that the designer, the architect of the Jerusalem Theater, actually designed an apartment inside the Jerusalem Theater.
He designed an apartment for himself. He planned to really live there in the 5th floor of the complex. I think he never did, but there is an apartment. But the apartment for the film is in Yafo. That's because of production.
Movie magic, we'll call it. And I want to talk, the last thing I wanted to ask you was about the casting. The fabulous cast you have. Was this like an obvious cast for you? Did you know who everybody was going to be? Did you? One of the amazing things about this cast is actually that they're all so strong that it really allows each character to define itself. It's not like there's just one strong personality there on screen. What was that process for you?
First of all, it's unusual not to have a lead role in a film. And I could not decide when writing the script who is more important. If Abraham is more important than Sarah, or Sarah is more important than Hagar, or maybe Hagar is the leading role, or maybe Ishmael, in a way. So I decided not to write a script with a leading role, but kind of a triangle. I also didn't want to make it a romantic triangle, because it would be a bit obvious, or maybe maybe a dramatic kind of triangle. And the cast, it took me a lot of auditions to really kind of pinpoint and choose. And they did not know, they're not musicians anyway, and they had to learn their roles. The only one who is really playing his instrument is Isaac, and it's too difficult for a 12-year-old to imitate the playing of a violin, but the others, they had to really study their instrument. Or Alon Abutbul, the conductor, he had to take conducting lessons. He did.
So you're saying there's not a lot of actors out there in Israel who know how to play the harp. This is not
too many.
Let's take some questions from the audience. We'll have a microphone go around.
I love the film. Thank you. And what I was wondering about, this brilliant idea to do it to tell the story through a symphony orchestra was extraordinary. I wonder if you had any other ideas about how that came about, and if there were any other ideas about how to tell the story.
Actually, it came the opposite way. I wanted to make a film about the symphonic orchestra. And then it kind of combined nicely, because I think that Abraham in the Bible is a very strong personality, but doesn't really... all the decisions, when you read those chapters in the Bible, you see all the decisions are made by others, either the women or God, and that's the conductor. He's powerful, and he leads the group, but he doesn't have an instrument for himself. And I thought that the two women that have their own very different instruments by style and sound, are actually leading their life. And Abraham is kind of controlling, but a step back. So I found it really comes good with this setting of a philharmonic orchestra. No, I didn't have any other ideas. And actually, I made a film 5 years ago. It's a documentary about Zubin Mehta. So I kind of studied this subject of a philharmonic orchestra, and the role of the conductor, and the relationship between conductor and musicians. And my grandmother was the first harpist of the Israeli Philharmonic Orchestra. So that'll be there.
You had no choice but to do this.
How accurate is the orchestra? I mean, was this part of a real orchestra?
It's the Ra'anana Symphoniette. Ra'anana. It's a good orchestra, and yeah, the Ra'anana orchestra only had 30 players, so they have more. They kind of took more, but it's a real orchestra. Yeah.
The relationship between the two women is totally fascinating, but when Sarah first meets Hagar, what are her intentions? I mean, she wants a friend, but is she already seeing the future?
I can ask you this question myself. It's really hard when you write a script to convince yourself that the characters are not conscious and they don't really know what they want, but they have deeper feelings that they cannot express or they're not aware of. I think she's in this situation that she has a feeling about her, but doesn't really know what kind of feeling.
So I also want to tell you how much I enjoyed the film. And again, back to the music. How did you decide which pieces they would be playing? Because you don't hear the Arabic music until the very end. Everyone is playing classical pieces. How did you choose the ones that they were going to play?
First, I chose the ones I like. I think that's anyway the right attitude of a director is to do things that he likes, because then you get deeper relations with what you do. I really like Scheherazade. I think it's a great piece, and it combines Western music and Eastern music, and that was the main piece in the and the Boldier, the harp concerto. There are not too many harp concertos anyway, so I just listened to all of them, maybe 15 or so, not more. And this was so beautiful for me. I just knew it when I heard it.
What about the original piece that the father wrote for?
Okay, yeah, that's I had two friends writing the score for the film, so they wrote this piece.
Thank you very much. This is a minor question. I was surprised that Ishmael, as a teenager, looked so different, particularly in his face. He was very, very round, while, in fact, the other characters and his father were very narrow in their structure.
Okay. Don't you think he looks like Hagar? Yes. There is this one shot that they stand by the door, one next to the other, after they come back from the tower, from Imka, and I think they have the same eyes, with the black eyes, with the white narrow beneath. So I felt that it's most important that he will look like Hagar.
On the last scene, I was actually missing the dad in the reunion. Is there a reason why he didn't show up?
What do you mean? The conductor?
In the reunion,
yeah.
I was missing the dad. So the two moms.
Abraham will come. Yeah. I think he came with his soul. He came with the piece. He is the composer of the piece. So he's there with the music. But I think it's really important for the two women to meet and see the two children. He's there. Abraham is always there.
We have time for one last question over here.
I want to know about Hagar's father, because we knew nothing about him. There's nothing about him in the Bible. How did you come up with this character to show that there's also musical talent in the father, which was passed on to Hagar?
Yeah, there's not too much. There's no information about Hagar's father in the Bible. This comes from another part of my work and my interests, which are it's shallow, but I'll say it anyway. I'm dealing with psychology in my work. I was writing the TV series In Treatment in Israel, and then I'm into psychology. My mother's mother was the harpist, and my mother is a psychologist. So
you're saying it's all about your mother?
So I felt that it's shallow in a way, but I felt that she needs to have a father, but not a mother. and her relationship between the two women are kind of a mother-daughter relationship that were absent in Hagar's life, as the child was absent in Sarah's life. So I felt that's why, in a scriptural meaning level, why she has a father. If it's an answer.
Ori, thank you so much for this film. Thank you so much for being here. There's a lot more to discuss in this, and I'm sure people have some more questions. Folks, this film is screening again, actually, I mentioned, at our Harlem location on Sunday. Many more films this weekend and tomorrow throughout the day, Sunday throughout the day, and throughout the week. Please tell 10 friends and let them know about this festival. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you soon.